Arden had brought her, because she had already had MSW from Howard University, and when she came, and they had this MSW MPH that she worked on while she was on the faculty in the department. So there was some overlap then. You said that was, so that would have been 76 when you started?
In nutrition.
76 in nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And then
86 in maternal.
86. Oh, we were long gone in 86. Okay, got it. Okay, I was wondering how we didn't.
You're catching
right, yeah. So you were there. Edozian was chair when you were in nutrition.
Joseph Edozian, Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, we knew that he was like the king or the chief of his tribe, and he tried to run everything else like that over here. And that's the reason he was, just very difficult to get along with. I'll just say it like that. I don't know of too many people who had close relationships with that gentleman. I really never heard. I don't know. And since his tenure, it's just seemed like things were very different.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very different.
Yeah. We made the mistake. I was sort of president of the Black Student Caucus, and we made the assumption that he was going to be supportive of us.
Yeah, that was wrong.
That was definitely wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah, he set us straight.
Because, and I've since learned that, people from Africa do not consider themselves the same or similar to.
Yeah, Black Americans.
That's very different.
Very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah, that especially back then, because like Edozian, who had gone to a Christian school in Africa, growing up, he was actually taught that you should not talk to Black Americans, and
wow.
That's why I call him the king, because he was.
Well, he was a king.
Well, he was a king.
Yeah.
He definitely became a king after he left the chapel.
Right.
But he had that attitude even when he was chair. For us it was a joke about being king, but.
Well, for us it was a joke, and it wasn't a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we had to live with that
That's
stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Everybody had to live with that stuff.
Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah, and I was trying to remember. I thought there was an African American student in nutrition back then, a woman, but I can't think of.
Well, there was one from Africa. I can't think of her name right now. She's the most beautiful woman, and. One time when but I'm thinking about somebody else in another class. But it's been so long.
Yeah.
It's been what, 30?
Yeah, we had
30 years.
We had a good relationship with the Bray boys. Who were in administration?
Yeah, Bobby.
Bobby, that's right, Bobby.
I see Bobby at least once a year.
Oh, okay. And
he's gotten more straight. He used to be wild and out there. I'm just.
Well, that's why we got along. Yeah, right.
And his brother's Tim.
Yeah.
Tim was in education.
Yeah, right.
And then they had a cousin who was in health education, but he died a few years ago.
Yeah, myself and Jim, I didn't remember his last name. It starts with an M, but I can't think of.
Like Maynard or something?
No. What was his name? I can't remember. But anyway, we formed a group for students of color and we taught biostat epi at night. to make sure that all the Native American students, all the black students.
You taught it, or did it sort of like a study group? I'm curious.
Say that again?
You taught it, or was it like a study group?
Well, I was the senior TA for EPI at the time.
You gave them grades for...
I could give, I influenced the grades that that Amran and Chai gave the students, because I was a senior TA.
Okay.
But the main purpose was to simply make sure that they did well in biostat and epi. And that's how I knew Bobby, because he came to our classes at night.
I could see he would need it, but there was nothing like that around whenever I moved through.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely nothing.
What we did it at night from 1974 right on through until 1980.
But I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I know, because I don't remember you being there. That's why I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I just found out that one of the students who I knew as a student when I was finishing up my dissertation was also doing it after I left.
That's nice.
So it lasted until the 1980s, and it was the basis for. Well, we started out calling it the Black Student Caucus, but when Bobby and Jenny Ng and others got interested in some of the stuff we were doing, it changed to the Minority Student Caucus, and that occurred around.
Now, I was a member of the Student Caucus, but what I'm telling you about with regard to the course, I support, academic support. I didn't know anything about it. But I remember Jeannie was getting her PhD whenever I was in school this last time in the late 80s.
You're right, yeah. By that time, I had already left, but Ronald Bear and somebody else was still doing the training, the tutoring. Because before we started that program, particularly black students were not doing very well in epi and biostat at all. They were...
I struggled with biostatistics, and I was going to say my classmate in MCH, who's now a professor in MCH, Vijaya Hogan.
Oh, okay.
We would have study groups together.
Oh, okay.
For different things.
Okay.
But Vijaya and we got our masters during the same.
I see.
Same
Okay.
Time. Again, to help you. With the years.
Right, yeah. Because Vijaya worked with my current wife at CDC after she finished the UNC. So I know Vijaya. In fact, they were just working together this past weekend in Michigan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you came back to MCH in 70, go ahead.
Before we talk about MCH, so you overlapped with David McCoy, didn't you?
Well, I was there whenever he was hired to be the minority student recruiter. Outreach recruiter.
That was in the end of the 70s,
I
think.
Whenever I was studying nutrition.
When you were in nutrition, okay. Because
Right.
I was actually there also. I was 77 to 79, but I didn't remember meeting you, unfortunately.
And Mr. Small was there too. That's when I first met David, and then from there he went to the Commission of Indian Affairs, if I'm not mistaken, to be the assistant director at the commission. And then whenever I started working at the commission, David had just left to work in the Department of Administration because he went back to school to get his law degree. Mm-hmm. And then they hired him as an assistant secretary with the Department of Administration.
Now, can you tell what you did with the caucus when you were with the Minority Student Caucus in the 70s?
I didn't do that much, basically, and I think it might have been coming with other students, was just help plan the annual conference. And then the other thing that I can recall is participating in meetings with regard to student admissions, particularly for minority students, and talking about how the admission standards were so strict, and they were looking at certain things in which it's basically recruiting. The admission process seemed to be so much more elitist than it had been whenever I first came through, at all levels. And, just talking about the whole process and, what perhaps could be done to account, to give students who hadn't had, exposure to certain things, to make things a little bit, I won't even say equal, actually, but, looking at, life experiences and looking at, the advantages as well as disadvantages, and just, looking at the whole person and not just what, one aspect of them is, which would be grades.
Yeah. In fact, I was, when I came back, I was surprised about the emphasis on North Carolina students. Because when I was recruited to North Carolina, most of us came from major white universities around the country, and we were recruited to North Carolina. So we never saw UNC as North Carolina school. We saw it as a national school that just happened to be located in North Carolina.
Right.
And I realized when I got back years later that there was a focus on getting North Carolina students into UNC. And it was interesting that I never thought, I didn't see that many North Carolina students at UNC when I was in UNC in grad school.
Well, and I will agree that whenever I first, in the late 70s, it seemed like more of an international.
That's right.
And not
exactly.
just national, but
That's
more
exactly
of an international.
Right.
Training people from many different countries
right.
back to their home communities.
Right.
But then, folks realized North Carolina had lots of needs, and here it is, you're training all these people to go elsewhere, and very few were staying within the state to give back, to practice, because the state needs to.
Yeah, right. And that occurred later. Because I'll have to admit, if I saw you at UNC School of Public Health back then, I wouldn't have assumed that you were American or Native American. My assumption would be that you were from someplace else, like so many of the students
I've been accused of being Italian, Asian, Indian, everything else but what it is.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so I opened my mouth.
Yeah.
And it's like, where are you from?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So we must not have met during that period at all, because, interesting. Okay.
And, a lot of folks, even a lot of people in North Carolina are of the mindset that most American Indians are out west. And you have to live on a reservation. And it's like, when will you get rid of that notion? Because increasingly, most Indians in this country are non-reservated.
Right.
So.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I have to admit, I think except the fact that my father was interested in Lumbee, and then when I got to school and I met Bobby, and we could hang out together, we agreed on certain issues. Okay, so that you finished MCH in 78. No.
Nutritionist.
Nutritionist. I keep getting that one wrong. I don't know why. You finished nutrition in 78, and then came back in 88 and finished.
I came back in 86.
Right, but you finished in 88.
December of 87.
Oh, okay.
The reason why I'm saying is normally it's like a 1 year period, and so I was there for 3 semesters.
Right.
3 semesters.
Right.
And I took a position with the State Health Department in July of 88. I think it was 88. Again, I forget. You have to look at my resume.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah.
With injury control.
Right.
And
so, I'm sorry, what kind of control?
injury.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay. All right.
In the injury control section, there were different consultants. At that time, they focused more so on highway safety kinds of issues and a little bit on home safety issues. And they expanded more, and I developed to be the consultant that dealt with intentional injury because nobody wanted to touch it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And sort of like, it's like, well, you know, it's like everything else, but you know, I had been exposed to that to a certain degree by my work in the health department, seeing victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse and neglect, and so it wasn't, you know, anything that's like I'm afraid of or anything. It's just I learned how to deal with it and try to support the patients that I saw and, you know, get them some help. And I'll give you an example in which, you know, it was clear that some of my prenatal patients were being abused and were in living situations in which they had no electricity or running water in their house. And there was no way I could talk to them about healthy eating until I could help get them into a better living situation. And so I learned about the different resources in the community to help the clients. Not just, well, you need to eat this and this and this and this and create a diet, but it's like, again, the whole person. Yeah. What can we do to help the whole person and not just one aspect of it?
Now, one thing I'm curious about, so farm injuries were a big issue back then.
Farm injuries.
And you had a unique...
They're still
right, exactly. But you had a unique set of skills to work on farm injury. But that's not what you worked on.
No, because somebody... Well, I dealt with that a little bit, but I'm just saying, there was somebody who dealt with it, transportation, safety, transportation and bike. There was another consultant that dealt with playground safety. And there was another, home, transportation, playground, and I was the intentional injury, as well as I had to address the farm too. I forgot about that. And I'll give you an example of, and we didn't do too much with that because the folks who were the head of our program dealt with that more so because that was their interest. But one year, you know, every year at that time, and I don't know if they still do it because I'm just not a state fair person, but we had an exhibit at the state fair dealing with farm safety. We found these electric tractors, battery operated tractors, in which we demonstrated, you know, what could happen with tractor rollovers. Right. And I was responsible for that exhibit because we had a partnership with folks at East Carolina. They had an injury prevention program. There was a physician there who was studying farm injuries and the things to do to prevent them. And so it was like a joint project between the two. I burned up 2 of these tractors because it was a popular thing. The folks wanted, you know, just was, you know, particularly the men that were playing, you know, with these remote control tractor things. But we burnt up 2. I think we had 3. And before the time that the fair was over, we had to just almost shut down the exhibit because there wasn't much that we could demonstrate other than pick up the tractor and do this and that and, you know, talk through what we needed to talk through.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, so 86, 87, you were in maternal and child health. Okay, so Jonathan Koch was there when you were there? Arden was still there?
Yeah, and I still see Jonathan from time to time, but mostly at demonstrations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was a woman, Miriam something, she was a social work. She had an MSW, and And then Earl. Earl was still there when you were there? Earl Siegel?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was. Earl was starting to have health issues whenever I was.
Yeah.
I can't think of, but let me see. It's been so long.
Dorothy Brown was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dot Brown was there.
Okay.
I did a part-time job for Dot Brown to help.
Oh, okay.
Once I finished school.
Okay.
I worked part-time for Dot and part-time for the folks with the Child Development Center. Frank Porter Graham.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and those two positions, and then there was a graduate student in epidemiology doing a study about health outcomes amongst cosmetologists. I got that position right after I finished school, and for about 6 months, I did phone interviews, finishing up her surveys.
Right.
I helped her get more than 90% return rate.
Oh yeah.
In her surveys. I hated that job. I learned I don't like telephones, and all my work was by telephone. Yeah. And you think about calling people cold to ask them about their pregnancy outcomes. That's rough. That was rough. That was hard.
Yeah.
But I did that mostly at night and on weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the office by myself.
You remember who that was?
She was, I think, from Germany.
So
you give me an hour or so. I
remember
her name,
yeah.
But she was wonderful. So nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now I understand the time, because my first wife had the job that Dot got after she left, after we moved to Atlanta.
Yeah. I was surprised that Dot left, but then again, that's what you have to do if you want to keep progressing in your career. But Dot was a miss.
Yes, she is. It still is.
or as some folks who said about the congressman from New York, she was a caution. Is it Adam Clayton Powell?
Yes.
That's how they labeled him.
Yeah.
He was a caution.
Yeah.
She was too.
Yeah.
She still is.
No, she still is. She still is. She just left Jackson. I'm on a board at Jackson State University in Mississippi, and
she's dean there now.
What?
She's dean there now.
Not now.
Not in Mississippi.
She's gone.
Well, last I saw, she was in Virginia someplace.
Norfolk State.
Okay.
Yeah, I did some work for her there too.
But she's like a tornado.
That's not in Jackson anymore?
No. It's been a few weeks now.
Well, she should be of an age to retire if she wants to.
Well, if she wants to. She was on her way back here, and then I forgot I don't remember exactly what happened, but yeah, I knew that she wasn't going to stay at Jackson State. I'd been on that board for 10 years, and I knew the people in Jackson, and I knew Dot. When I came to North Carolina...
Is it sort of like oil and water?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
But for most things, it's like when I first came back to North Carolina, I worked for Dot at North Carolina A&T. Is that right? Yeah, A&T. And we had designed this great public health program for that school, but Dot got into it with the president or the chancellor or whatever. Oh yeah, the guy, and then he had wanted to force Dot to hire the wife of a friend of his, and Dot just said no way, And he kept pushing, and she kept pushing back, and eventually he fired her. And then when people found out about her being fired, they fired him.
Wow.
Because his behavior was inappropriate. But she's still something else. Yeah. It's interesting. But her daughters, and I'm on a board for...
She had twins.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Her daughter is one of I'm on the board of a program well, actually 2 programs at Harvard School of Public Health,
Mhm.
and her daughter is in one of the programs
really?
we work with. Yeah, that I do.
Still? Because she's graduated from Harvard.
She's
now.
graduated from Harvard, and
She's working at RTI.
Was it RTI?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. I knew it was a consulting thing someplace. But yeah. So
Yeah, her daughter's done very well.
yes,
That's
very,
good.
very Harvard. That's her daughter is very much a Harvard graduate. I learned how to pronounce Harvard.
Okay. Having. Like,
Yeah.
with the Boston accent?
Yes.
Harvard.
Yeah,
Harvard.
very interesting
Okay.
experience.
Harvard.
Yeah.
But anyway, because of my experience with the state health department, that
Mhm.
helped me to get my position with the Commission of Indian Affairs,
Mhm.
leading their, the year that I started with the commission was one of 2 groups in the country that got funding from the Children's Bureau for Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Project, and this was prevention, intervention, and treatment. And the thing that I guess intrigued the folks at the Children's Bureau is the proposal to work with 2 different tribes
Mhm.
in the state, the Hawasaponi and the Lumbee. And because, because of, where I had worked and my expertise at that time, if you want to call it expertise, in intentional injury and just being a fellow native, I was able to successfully,
Mhm.
interview and have the position accepted for me, or, given to me.
Mhm.
But that was only like a 2-year grant. There's not much you can do in 2 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely
You're just
not.
getting started.
They basically just threw money at the commission. But that's how I met Ray Kirk, who's with the School of Social Work. He's a researcher next door to the School of Public Health. And because I hired him to do the evaluation for that project. And from the commission, when I went to the AOC, the Administrative Office of the Courts, it's like basically I was, just talking about stuff, really, my whole experience with public health, because it really will train you to do anything and everything, because you're having to deal with people. And usually, solving problems, you have to deal with groups. You can't do everything by yourself. And I was just talking the public health philosophy, and they offered me the position. It's like, I have no knowledge of the courts. But my first year in that position was just learning the system and learning the language. And I learned to enjoy the job. And the only reason I applied and interviewed for the position is because in the last days of being with the commission, I was reviewing proposals for the Council of Women for their domestic violence and rape prevention grants that they offered to the local programs. And I was just telling folks, I'm looking for work. I'll soon be out of a job. Next thing I knew, 3 days later, this gentleman from the Governor's Crime Commission was coming to bring me this information about this position that he knew about. And the only reason I applied was because he went out of his way. I would never have known about it, but he went out of his way to bring me that information. And
That's the way it often
I'm
happens.
grateful.
Yeah.
I'm always will be grateful.
Who was that? Do you remember his name?
I think it was Barry something or something Barry. Again, I don't know. I haven't seen him in years.
What led him to you? What led him to you?
We were in this proposal review.
Oh,
Determine who would and would not get funded and how much they would get funded for domestic violence prevention and rape crisis prevention programs. Because most of the funding was coming from the Governor's Crime Commission, and he was the project officer.
I see. Okay.
Over that. And
So what year was that then that you...
that was in 95.
95. And how long did you stay there?
Until January 2012. Bev Perdue I got the order of the, the longleaf pine. She signed it. It was one of the last things that her signature showed up on her duties. But yeah.
That's a very prestigious recognition, isn't it?
Yeah. Supposedly.
The Order of the Longleaf Pine?
I think I have it in a closet somewhere. I'm sorry. But,
didn't Governor Jim Hunt have that also? Receive that?
He might have. I know he gave them out
while
he was governor.
He gave them out. Well, I can't remember now who, but I've read of a number of prominent people who've received it. And it's a very impressive recognition.
Well, yeah, I have one of those things. But anyway, I think because of, maternal and child health, because we were exposed to a little bit of that, and I was able to, for the interview with the state health department thing, because of just everything that I had been exposed to, I was able to research and be prepared and to do what I did. It's good education. And I still use those principles that I learned today. I still use those principles in everything that I do today. Pretty much. Yes, sir.
Now, all this time you were working with the Triangle Native American Society also.
Yeah, volunteer. It's volunteer work. Everything.
But you were also, you actually were an officer and...
I was the president. I think I might have been vice president at one point. And up until last year, for 2 years I served as the United Tribes representative from the Triangle Native American Society, and currently I'm serving as a commissioner for the Commission of Indian Affairs, representing our group here. So that's a 2-year term, and when my 2 years is up, we already know who's going to, we try to rotate and give as many people as possible that opportunity to serve, because one thing, you can get burned out. And another thing, everybody needs an opportunity for, different leadership positions. And that's what we've always tried to do. Not everybody does that, but that's what we try to do.
But you've done that since 1989, I think. So that's been a good long while.
Ever since I have been here. And that's part of, being part of family. It's an Indian thing. Wherever it is we go, we try to find if there are other natives in the area and get connected, and sometimes about as connected as you can get. And for me, and I don't think I'm the only one, whenever I would travel for business or work, I'd take out the telephone book to look up names, to see if anybody was in the area with last names such as those from our community. And I've been surprised, at least here in North Carolina. I haven't been so lucky in other places, but I do. That's what I do. And when we go to different places, folks from back home, if they know somebody's in another place, they ask, they reach out and say, take care of my child. Or if I'm going someplace, they say, contact so and so and so for that connection. It's for support. I'm not saying physical, but emotional support.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why Triangle was started here in this urban area, and the other urban organizations for social support, if not for anything else. And we try to be supportive of the students in the different schools here in the area.
So, I need to ask, I want to ask
Go
you
right
some
ahead. I don't care.
Okay. All right.
And if I can't answer, I say I can't answer.
Okay.
I won't answer.
So Cherokees.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh.
Just go ahead. Just okay. Let me see if I can help you. In general, Cherokee as a tribe versus Lumbee as a tribe.
Yes.
There's kind of a not comfortable relationship.
That's right.
One-on-one, we're fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay, as individuals,
Okay.
but also formally. And part of it is you think about the fact that the Lumbees, as well as any other tribal organization, increasingly those people who are seeking federal recognition are viewed as folks threatening the resources of others who already have it. Because the pot of monies that are set aside to support tribes has been getting smaller and smaller over time because the federal government is getting out of the Indian business with big time. And so part of it is competition and trying to protect what you already have, which is dwindling anyway. And Lumbees are seen as a threat because we're a huge population of Indian people. We're huge. Cherokees might be 10,000 in number. Lumbees more than 40,000 in number.
I see. Okay.
Lumbees make up the majority of the Indian people in this state.
Huh. Okay. I guess I didn't realize that.
If you look at the census, the data and everything, there are some tribes that are only maybe 3,000 in size. That's the Halawassaponi, a little bit more than 3,000. And some maybe 1,500, maybe. And even here in the Triangle area, we are considered a significant population. We may be about 2,000. But made up of members of different tribes. That their home tribes are from other states, so it's not just North Carolina. And it's really, I keep being surprised at how, whenever the times I've done classes for the folks at Chapel Hill, the graduate students, they think Indian people don't move and travel like anybody else.
They think what?
That they don't. Indian people don't travel.
Oh.
I don't know why. And I tell them I don't know why, and I don't understand why you don't think that we move to different states too.
We're
not.
But the Lumbees are primarily in North Carolina? Lumbees are primarily
that's right.
Yeah, but Lumbees are all over the country. All over the country.
I do find the focus on